So today, guys, we're going to talk about RVing with dogs.
That's the whole thing. Oh,
Big smile out there. You got a big smile out there.
Welcome back, guys. If you are new here, I'm Mike.
I'm Stephanie. This is Khali, and we're life rerouted. I'm a travel nurse, and we've been traveling the country in our RV since 2018, and we've had Khali since 2019.
We thought we'd take a minute and talk to you guys today about what it's really like RVing with dogs, give you some of our tips and tricks that we've learned along the way, and talk a little bit about products that we use all the time for her. So what's it actually like having a dog every day in the camper with you? Some days it's better than others, I'd say, but it makes us more active. I have to get up earlier than I normally would. I'm
a little retired man over here.
I'm a stay-at-home dude, and now I have to get up earlier than I used to have to, but that's a good thing. It makes us more active, gets us outside more, gives us a routine, which is sometimes good.
Zombie dog over here.
So we don't have a backyard like a lot of people with houses do, so I have to be intentional on making sure that I take her out to go to the bathroom. But that's totally fine, that's part of it. I guess it'd be similar to living in an apartment, right?
Yeah, I guess. We didn't have her when we had our apartments and stuff, but yeah, I guess so. She lets us know when she wants to go outside. She's never had any accidents in the camper, which we are very grateful for.
Yes, knock on wood.
She may have overeaten once at a cookout and threw up once, but she's a great dog.
Yeah.
But be aware, obviously, you have to take cues from your dog and know if it has a little bladder and needs to go out often, you're going to have to plan to go out often and not just open the door to the backyard.
Yes. Another thing is travel days for us is a little bit different now. With the camper, we have to make sure that we park at rest areas. We try to do that with her. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier to take her outside to use the bathroom.
We do try to pick rest areas to stop at, and if we need to stop for fuel, I always usually pull up Google satellite images to find a good gas station anyway, because we want to make sure we can get the camper in and out, but we try to look for one that has like a little grassy area or is close to a park or something we can take her out and kind of run her around a little bit.
So another thing that we found is really important is trying to stay organized with all of our stuff. So we have a cabinet, a part of the cabinet that
large part of the cabinet
that has all of her food, her toys, her treats, and all that stuff. It's got its own space, and we try to keep everything in there.
Yeah. In that cabinet we have a tote that we keep all of her dog food in, and it's also labeled so we can just grab that tote and take it if we need to board her about how much she eats, everything like that. Then all of her accessories that someone might overbuy for her. But it also has a manila envelope in there, and it's right there with her stuff. We know exactly where it is. It has all of her shot records, her chip information because she is microchipped. It has her adoption paperwork because we adopted her when we were in South Carolina. Everything we would need to prove she's ours. These are her shots. This is where we can find her if we lose her.
Another thing that we've found over time is that she needs her own space, especially when it storms, because she's not a big fan of storms. She has her own little cubby with her bed in the bedroom with us, but we realized right away that she was a dog that needed her own space. So that's kind of important to know.
Yeah, originally we had a crate in here because she was new to us and new to the camper life. And so we had a crate for her, and that was her safe spot. She went to her crate, and when we didn't know her very well, we would sometimes crate her when we left and close her in. We learned very quickly we have a fantastic dog, and we didn't need to do that anymore. So now she just has her little bed with her little toys and her little space when she's sick of me smothering her with my love.
Side tip would be, if you guys are new RVers or if your dogs are new to RVing, I would suggest to get them in the camper as much as possible before you go on a trip, just to get them used to that space. Maybe take the bed that they normally use and put it in a space that they might like. Let them get used to the camper before you leave, because even still now, Khali gets a little confused if we move, and we found that she goes straight for her spot when we get to the next spot.
Yeah. So one thing that's really important for any pet, let alone one that full-time travels, is to find a good vet. When we adopted Khali, she had her vet that she'd been going to with the rescue that we got her from, but when we hit the road, we were like, how do we find one all the time?
So we started using Banfield. They're associated with PetSmart, and we got the idea to do that from a neighbor that we live next to in Greenville, South Carolina. He told us they have annual plans where you get, I think it's like a couple vet visits a year if you pay a certain fee. We don't do that, but we did like the idea that we could take them to the same place every time we go somewhere, and all of her shot records and vaccinations and all of her vet visits and everything are on file with them.
Yeah, so Banfield's a chain associated with PetSmart, so there's locations all over the country. That's really handy because, like Mike said, everything is right there. They already know that veterinarian might not know our dog, but they can look in our file like that instead of us bringing paperwork every place we go and trying to find a good one every place we go.
So how do we find pet-friendly places to go? Sometimes it can be difficult to find RV parks that allow bigger dogs, or trying to find restaurants that are dog friendly and stuff like that. Not really something that we had issue with before we had Khali, but it is something that we have to consider now.
Yeah, so RV parks, we have not had any issues with this, but when we got Khali, when we were looking to adopt a dog, we had to be very aware about breeds, unfortunately, because there are a lot of restrictions in RV parks as far as the breed of the dog.
Preconceived notions,
Yes.
I heard said once.
Yeah.
So pit bulls, anything that they consider to be an aggressive breed, even just big dogs sometimes aren't allowed.
Yeah, aside from breeds, there's also places that have weight restrictions, and like, Khali's put on a few pounds, but she's still good.
She's not the only one.
But there's also amounts of dogs, so we've gone to RV parks where you can't have more than 2 dogs, more than 3 dogs, more than 4 dogs, and like some people travel with quite a few or have quite a few and want to travel. So it's something you just have to be a little aware of, that there are a lot of restrictions out there. For us, since we're going to places for a few months at a time, most of the time, then we just call ahead and say, hey, we have a dog. And we always say it's a lab mix, because that's what she is. That's what we think she is. She's
That's
in
what's
lab.
on the paperwork anyway.
I've had a few places ask me what she mixed with and kind of drill into us about this when I have to explain, like, she's totally fine.
It's just something that you should know if you are RVing with dogs. Just make sure that your dog is allowed in RV parks, and call if you have any questions of the RV park.
Yeah, I found that's the best thing, especially because even if I said she was an aggressive breed, you might be able to talk to them and say, but she's totally fine. We can
Yeah.
come on a trial basis, something like that.
So as far as going out and exploring and doing stuff, which is what we love about this lifestyle, we found a few apps that have helped us along the way.
Yeah, one is Bring Fido, which is also a website. And we originally looked into them because of restaurants, but they have hotels, they have like all kinds of different things that you can click on and search for a certain area or search a specific category. Really helpful. And then people leave reviews on there too to say like, yeah, they might call themselves dog friendly, but they're not. Or this one's great, they actually have treats for your dog, stuff like that. Another one that I actually pointed out to Mike recently because I thought he realized, I use Yelp all the time. And Yelp again has other things other than restaurants, but I use it for restaurants or breweries, and it actually has a little tab filter that just say dogs allowed.
We're RVers, and we've talked about Harvest Hosts in the past. Love Harvest Hosts. We have a link down below if you're interested to check out Harvest Hosts, but they have a filter on their app now where you can check and see if a place lets pets in.
Yep, because each Harvest Host is a little bit different, but some of them allow dogs and some don't, or pets and some don't. So obviously we're a little obsessed with our dog, but there are some definite downsides. For me, my top downside would be the fur. I grew up on a farm with outdoor dogs. I never had pets inside. I didn't realize that those cute little sayings that say like, an outfit's not complete without fur on it. In an RV, it applies to everything you own.
Every nook and cranny has hair in it. And if for you pet owners that have a house or have an RV already, you know exactly what we're talking about.
And she's a short-haired dog, short-haired mutt, whatever she is. I didn't think she'd shed that much, and really, in reality, she probably doesn't. It's everywhere.
You can also limit the stuff that you are able to do if you have a pet, if you can't take them somewhere. Here in Florida, we found a lot of the parks and stuff here don't allow dogs because of the gators. So that has kind of messed with our hiking activities. What we normally like to do. We've had to leave Khali home a lot of times because we want to check a place out.
Yep, and we've had to just miss out on some stuff because of it.
Boarding them when you're going on vacation or on a trip can sometimes be challenging when you're moving a lot too. We've used places like Camp Bow Wow before. We found a great place here in the Ocala area that we really like.
Yeah.
But it can be difficult sometimes to find places that will board and board quickly because we have moved to a place and then had a vacation like a couple weeks into an assignment and had to find a place right away.
Yeah, and some of these places have to have trial days with the dogs to make sure they're going to be okay. Camp Bow Wow is another chain, but we've used them in different cities, but you still have to have trial days at most of them, even if you're an established like customer with Camp Bow Wow.
There again, keeping your vaccination records and all that stuff handy can be great. If you need to board them quickly, you can have all that information accessible.
Ready to go. Yeah, and most of the time Mike is a stay-at-home dude, but there's been a couple of times when both of us have worked and trying to find some place to board her instead of leaving her at home for 12 hours at a time.
Yeah.
It can get a little tricky.
Yep. And along with boarding and all that stuff, another downside is cost. It can be expensive to have a dog, especially when you spoil them as much as we do. Food, vet visits, all that stuff, it can be expensive. There again, if you're pet owners, you know what we're talking about, but that is a downside to having a dog.
So we mentioned at the beginning of the video that there are some products that have really helped us that we've really liked for the RV. One of them that seems really self-explanatory or silly is her bowl set. So Mike actually found this, and it's been the same bowl that we've had since we got Khali. But it's in a little silicone container, basically. Cute, shaped like a dog bone. But not only does that keep it from sliding all over the camper, it's also kind of a splash guard if she gets messy or sloppy or spits out her food, which occasionally she does.
Yeah, she's a sloppy eater
weird.
sometimes. Whatever. A harness is really handy for us because we like going on hikes with her. It's also important to have on if we take her to a dog park, if we need to grab her.
We also have multiple leashes, so if we're just out doing a hike or walking around the RV park, we have a retractable leash so she can explore a little bit more. But we also have what I call a city leash, and that's only about 6 feet long and has a clip on the end so you can clip her like to your chair while you're out at a restaurant so she can just kind of roam around the table. And it also has a handle down close to her, so if we're crossing a city street or anything, I can grab that handle, keep her right by me, and she can still walk on the leash.
We also just recently bought her a cot because Steph really wanted to get one. Okay, I wanted to get it. It's really nice. It's just an outdoor cot for her to lay on. We're here in Florida. It can be really hot in the summer on the concrete. That allows them to be outside and keep off that concrete and stay cool. Or if you're at a dirt site, or we were just in the national forest and kept her off the dirt so that she could stay a little cleaner. So that's really nice. I'm going to throw all that stuff down below too, guys. If you want to check them out, feel free to do so. So you might be asking yourself, do you want to take your dog RVing with you? I can't speak for everybody, but she's been a great addition to the family. The RV lifestyle fits in perfectly with having a dog. There are so many people that RV that have dogs.
And cats and pets and all kinds. There's somebody that lives in the RV park. We just had the same thought. Somebody that lives in our RV park right now that has a big cockatoo, I think. A big bird.
I don't
he
know.
cruises around on the golf cart with them and talks. And it's So cute.
It's amazing. So if you want to bring your dog or your cat or apparently your parrot along with you, then the RV lifestyle will allow you to do so.
Yeah. Along with that, though, is know your dog or pet's personality. We didn't have the opportunity to really ease Khali into RV living because we were full-time living when we got her, full-time RV living when we got her. But a lot of people we've talked to said, you know, kind of easing them into that, knowing their personality, knowing if they're going to need more bathroom breaks or going to get car sick or going to freak out every time you move to a new spot, and how you can kind of ease them into that. Like Mike mentioned earlier, having their own space, having a familiar item or toy. We wouldn't trade this for anything. We're obviously a little too obsessed with our dog.
Oh well.
But definitely worth it in our opinion. Definitely, like Mike said, dog-friendly lifestyle.
So thanks for watching our little video this week, guys. If you are new here, consider subscribing and follow along with our little adventure. We're gonna be here in Florida for just a couple more weeks.
A little longer.
And then we're off to somewhere else.
No idea.
Khali, just hang on for just a second.
If you guys travel with pets, let us know. We love hearing pet stories. We obviously are pet people. Tell us any tips and tricks that you have about your pets in your camper. If your dog is as weird as ours, or if they do really well with the camper. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us again this week. We'll see you next time.